I had a few requests to go over graphing a little bit more, so let's look at how to solve this system using graphing. And this is just one of the systems off the worksheet. So if it's one of the ones that you haven't done, well, you can follow along on the worksheet and get one more done, because today you need to finish 6 more. Now, that means that by the end of today, you should have a total of 12 of those finished on there. And again, I need to see at least one graphing, at least one elimination, and at least one substitution. And this is going to count as a quiz grade, so make sure that you are comfortable before you turn them in. These use a ton of our concepts from the school year, and they combine them and use them in different ways, which is why we're spending so much time on it. We will be only getting one more concept with systems of equations before we move on, though. So I just want to make sure that all of this is good to go before we get that final concept. So here's what we got. Here are 2 lines, y equals 2/3 x plus 1 and y equals negative 2/9 x plus 9. Now in these 2 things, what we want to find is what x and y coordinate do these 2 things have in common. And just remember that if you're graphing them, you're seeing all of the points on a line are all of the things that would work in this equation. And that means we just need to find the single point that these 2 share. So this comes back to, how do I graph? And don't forget that when you are graphing, you are using the slope-intercept form as kind of a shortcut. Y equals mx plus b. And this is on that note card that you guys had from earlier in the year. And whenever you guys can, have that out next to you, because it can give you some hints when you run stuck. So according to our note card, b is the intercept and m is the slope. So when I'm looking at my first equation, and I'm going to graph this one in blue, what I'm saying is I have y is equal to 2/3 with my slope, that's my m, x plus my b, my intercept, and this is a positive one. So when I'm talking about intercept, I'm going to actually graph that first, because our intercept, remember, is our starting point, and that means I'm starting at 1. Notice here I have a scale that goes up by 2s. Next, I'm going to start to move, and I'm going to move by doing my slope, which just tells me it's rise over its run. Since this is a 2 over 3, it's saying that you rise 2 and go over 3. So I'm going to rise 2, go over 3. It's going to put me smack dab in the middle of that box. And I'm going to do the same thing a couple times just to make sure I have enough in common that my line's going to be straight. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. So it should be right there at 6, 5. And again, 2, 1, 2, 3. So you can see how I have then several points on my line. You should do a minimum of 3, but I like to go a little bit further when I'm doing systems, because being exact can make such a huge difference, since it only takes just being slightly off to make it so your intercept point is not the one that you want. Okay, so now I'm going to do the same thing with the other problem. And just keep in mind that while I'm doing the same process, it is really important that you are careful in your work so you don't have to redo the whole thing. Now this one, m is negative, don't forget that negative, 2/9, and my b, or intercept, is 9. So I'm going to start at my intercept of 9. And remember, that's my y-intercept, so I'm going through the y-axis at 9. So now that I have my starting point, I can move using my slope. And this is saying I have a rise of negative 2 over a run of 9. In other words, I go 2 down that negative 2 and 9 over. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Oh! Hey, that is really handy, because look, I don't even have to go any further. Yes, I could continue counting, but see how I've already found the point that these 2 lines go and share? Because I landed right on the blue line, and I landed on the blue line at the point 9, 7. So that means that my point of intersection, the thing that these 2 lines share, is that point 9, 7. And I can quickly check that that works in both equations. And so let's just quick check if 7 is equal to 2/3 9 plus 1. Well, 2/3 9 plus 1, that does equal 7. And I can do the same thing here. What about negative 2/9 times 9 plus 9? Well, this is going to give me a negative 2 plus 9, which is 7. And does that equal a y value of 7? Why, yes, it does. So that means that this is good to go, and we are completely done with that one. If you have any other problem requests or issues with ones that you just can't solve, and no matter what you do, it's not getting you the right answer, don't be afraid to send me a message. I'll either shoot you a video or give you some tips as we go along. So here are, again, what you need to do for tomorrow. You need to do 6 more problems. Your answers should be checked. You should be 100% confident that you got all of those problems correct. And if not, you need to message me sometime today or early tomorrow so I can give you some feedback before it's due on Monday morning. And this will count as a quiz. So those 12 problems are pretty stinking important. If you have any questions, again, drop in. Thanks. Have a great day.